لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك في المدينة محمد نبينا بنور هدينا محمد نبينا بنور هدينا.
We have now in Makkah alone
the chairman of the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NAHCON, Barrister Abdullahi Mukhtar, says reforms being introduced by the Commission in securing pilgrims' accommodation has saved the country more than 1 billion naira. Barrister Abdullahi Mukhtar stated this while defending some allegations leveled against the Commission before the House of Representatives Committee on Public Petition.
States that hitherto used to take their accommodation at 4,000 Saudi riyals. Now they get the accommodation at 3,500. Some got their accommodation at 3,100. It's there in the annexure we submitted to this committee. We have now in Makkah alone a saving from this reform of 14 million Saudi riyals, which is equivalent to almost about 1.3 billion naira. Despite these savings, we also save Nigerian governors from augmenting the cost of accommodation through these companies who don't have the requisite to do the right thing, because they should check even the governors. And through that, we were able to save Nigeria the total sum of almost 1.8 billion naira from accommodation augmentation.
While answering questions from journalists after the session, Barrister Abdullahi Mukhtar explains the rationale behind modifying the accommodation system.
The rate of dollar 2017 is not the same thing with 2016. If pilgrims were given dollar at official exchange rate of 197 in 2016, the official exchange rate today is over 300, which means the dollar component will naturally affect the cost of Hajj. So if it will affect the cost of Hajj, you have to look inward. What saving measures will you bring out to cushion that effect? And that's why we put on our thinking cap to say, no, we have to do something about the accommodation to make sure that people pay the right price and get value for their money. And in that process, we decided to eliminate agent in Medina and deal directly with the landlord. Of course, the agent will not be happy. And in that process, we're able to remove all agents with questionable integrity in Mecca. And all those agents that we believe they are part of the rip-off. And that crushed the cost of accommodation in Mecca too. So this is the reform. In whose interest are we doing? In the interest of the pilgrim and in the interest of the nation.
Meanwhile, observers of Hajj management in Nigeria have reacted to this development, describing the accommodation reforms as a positive step taken by NAHCON towards improving one key component of the Hajj exercise.
It's a very good policy, a policy whereby the Commission bypassed the middlemen, because you know that's why even the cost was saved. About $12.something million, and you know, by extension that will reflect in the general Hajj fare for the year, hopefully, inshallah.
They have discovered new ideas and how to help the pilgrims in Nigeria, as well as how to save some money for the government of Nigeria. Eventually, they embark on this rapid policy on how to help, especially during this time when the country is in recession, to save some money for the federal government of Nigeria through the activities of the Hajj they have been doing, especially for 2017.
While commending NAHCON for the reforms being undertaken, they advised the Commission to also focus on other aspects of Hajj management, such as transportation and BTA, describing them as policy issues that have direct bearing on pilgrims.
I believe they are going to sit down and sort out the final price for Hajj, both in terms of BTA and other things, okay? Because right now, what remains is that they should be able to fix the final price for the Hajj. All pilgrims nationwide have deposited 1 million naira, okay? And they are working seriously to bring out the difference for the BTA in terms of payments?
The major area NAHCON should look at is that area of transportation. Let there be new vehicles for our pilgrims that will convey them from either Jeddah to Mecca, or Jeddah, Medina, Medina, Jeddah, or Jeddah, Mecca, Medina, or whatever, or even the from Mecca to Mashair, or Mashair to Mecca. I think this is a very good a place whereby the NAHCON needs to look into.
In an effort to improve on Hajj information management in Nigeria, the Association of Independent Hajj Reporters and Nigerian Union of Journalists Kaduna Chapter are organizing a retreat on information system and media reportage for Hajj information managers. National Coordinator of the association, Ibrahim Mohammed, explains that the retreat will explore ways of promoting specialized reporting on information management.
Just like we have specialized reporting in media reportage, you have some people who are expert in ICT, business-based, judiciary and everything. But you haven't have anywhere you hear somebody is actually specialized in Hajj reporting. You may have a religious bit, but you don't have people who specialize in Hajj reporting. And as you know, Hajj is a spiritual purification exercise that has some reflection on emotion, you know, and a highly sensitive issues. And there are some terms used in Hajj reporting that even the reporters who wrote the story will not be able to tell you the actual meaning, the expressive or even the applicable meaning of such terms. And it has effect not only on the operation, it has effect on the psychology of pilgrims into be able to carry out their spiritual obligation to satisfy the creed issued by Almighty Allah in that respect. So,
the coordinator says the primary target for the program are chief executives of state pilgrims boards, journalists covering Hajj activities across the country, public relations officers of state pilgrims boards, and Hajj service providers, among others. But how then will this benefit the ordinary Nigerian pilgrims?
Now, with the Hajj information managers acquainted with the basic laws, with the basic rules and regulations of Hajj, they will be able to, during enlightenment campaign, pass this particular information back to their various pilgrims, which will also bring orderliness and cohesion, and will not lead to any further embarrassment to Nigeria. Because during Hajj, all pilgrims are ambassadors of Nigeria. You committed a crime there, the larger image is in Nigerian pilgrims, not pilgrims only. That the word Nigeria is very, very matter to us.
The involvement of Nigerians in drug trafficking assumed a worrisome dimension when some of them started making the Holy Land their destination. It is most pronounced during Umrah and Hajj pilgrimages. Though arrests are usually made and the culprits tried and imprisoned by the Saudis, the dent on Nigeria's image has become a major talking point. The concern is with the effect of such criminal acts on the smooth running of Hajj activities. Worried by this problem, the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria NAHCON is advocating for a strategic action plan to tackle increasing incidents of illegal drug trafficking involving Nigerian pilgrims. To realize this objective, a tripartite collaborative arrangement has been marked out by federal government. It involves the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria NAHCON, the National Orientation Agency NOA, and the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency NDLEA.
The government and indeed the Commission are very serious about this. In essence, in response to submissions by the Commission, federal government has directed the commission to liaise with National Orientation Agency, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, and other related security agencies to forge an important enlightenment program against such vices. And several meetings have been held, and then the necessary machinery has been put in place to roll out the enlightenment campaign anytime from now.
As part of the strategic plan, NAHCON Chairman Barrister Abdullahi Mukhtar and the Director General of the National Orientation Agency, Dr. Garba Abari, constituted a 9-man committee involving all stakeholders. The committee has the task of coming up with communication strategies to make the 2017 Hajj exercise drug-free. This is coming against the backdrop of the 2016 Hajj incident, in which 3 Nigerian pilgrims were arrested in Saudi Arabia on allegations of drug trafficking. 2 of the suspects were, however, released after investigations. While inaugurating the committee, Barrister Abdullahi stated that such synergy among stakeholders will go a long way in cleansing the country's image of the activities of criminally minded people masquerading as pilgrims. He stressed that the desire of NAHCON is to have a drug-free report in future Hajj operations beginning from this year. Dr. Garba Abari, in his remarks, lamented that the traffickers do not only endanger themselves, but also cause monumental embarrassment to the nation. He disclosed that the agency is embarking on advocacy and sensitization campaign at the grassroots on the dangers of drug trafficking. NAHCON Director of Planning, Suleiman Usman, and NOA Director of Human Resource, Balarabe Sani, are members of the committee. They explain more.
Enlightenment program being designed for the purpose has captured this adequately, and then appropriate media strategies would be adopted to serve this purpose. Who brainstormed to come forth with the proposal, including timelines and other necessary details like that. I assure you, the little best we could do had been done, and with the inputs of our bosses, I assure you something robust is going to come out.
So this policy of drug trafficking, curbing the essence of drug trafficking, will pass the message down to the COMOS and the state directors, whereby this message will be sent down to the general public, to the intending pilgrims particularly. You see, even if it is just one Nigerian caught with drug trafficking into Saudi Arabia or any other country, it's a great damage to the image of the country and at large, and the Hajj Commission or the Hajj process entirely in particular. So that is why I think the government is more serious about enlightenment on this drug trafficking, so that we can tell the intending pilgrims the ills, the consequences of drug trafficking, to discourage them entirely, and even those that are being used innocently.
To further reinforce the fight against drug trafficking, NAHCON has put in place conditions that must be met by intending pilgrims. These conditions require pilgrims to produce, among others, a guarantor in the person of a highly placed citizen who must be either a chief imam of a Jamrat mosque within the pilgrim's vicinity, a court bailiff, or a traditional ruler.
Reinvigorating the issue of guarantors for each individual and background check for each individual applying to go for the Hajj against this and a lot of other things. Most certainly is the onus rests on the would-be guarantors to be sure of the character of the people they are guaranteeing. Because if I don't know you adequately enough, I don't know the source of your funds. I don't know what activities you get involved in. I don't know if the person wanting me to guarantee him does not have what I consider to be an impeccable character. Why should I go ahead and guarantee him? So people should be wary of who they guarantee to go for the Hajj or Umrah, because of the obvious implications, the least of which one becomes an accomplice in the act.
Drug traffickers must have their reasons for taking advantage of the Hajj period to perpetrate the crime.
I believe they think during that period they may meet vulnerable people, people who are innocent, who may not understand, who are going for Hajj for the first time and are excited. Sometimes they use airports that they know that the security is not too good. There are some airports that do not have gadgets to detect all those drugs. So they use those kind of airports to perpetrate their criminal activities.
Criminals are criminals, and they have their own ways of going about their criminal activities. And one of such is if they could see a leeway through the pilgrims, through the Hajj process, they would utilize it.
With respect to this development, the committee is vigorously advocating for sufficient and effective security at various pilgrims departing centers across the country.
The Commission is liaising with all relevant airports in the nation, as well as beefing up security arrangement in Hajj camps prior to the departure of the pilgrims, and a host of other things.
We are also packaging a program of enlightenment for even the airport authorities, that is those handling the check-in activities and all that at the airports, for them to be up and doing, and also calling on the government to establish these scanners, because we understand that the airport they use has no scanner, because they were using this manual this thing to scan, to check the luggages. So there is need to actually get these modern scanners for detecting whatever that is contraband or that's not allowed to be taken out of the country.
At some points, investigations showed that most of the pilgrims caught in transit with drugs were victims of circumstances.
That how are we going to save innocent pilgrims who don't even know anything about drug trafficking, but they became victim because of assisting somebody. And you know, in Hajj, it is a program of assisting one another. Now, I will make it very categorical here, and a number of scholars have said it before. Where you don't know a person, and let me add here, even if you know a person, please let him hold his bag and you hold your own. At any point that they'll be checking before you, please don't assist anybody. Let him undergo the screening himself, and you undergo your own screening yourself. Immediately they start this beta, we intend to, apart from the normal Hajj rights that they will be taught on the need to be careful on who they take anything from.
Hajj observers bear their minds on why pilgrims are getting involved in drug trafficking.
Definitely it's because of money, and you know, these days now we have lost so much value in our aspect of life these days. Everybody wants to get quick money.
And again, you know, the issue of world nowadays, things have changed. You understand? The end time is coming. So many people has what God forbidding that we shouldn't do. People are now into it because of ends mean, because they want to make it by all means.
Wa'yansu kuma suna shan abin ne, to ba su iya rayuwa ba sai da abin, ka gani? To shine yasa sukan sanya za su dan sa abin a cikin jikinsu dan su tafi da shi.
Whatever the circumstances, the consensus is that drug trafficking is not acceptable in Islam and therefore condemned.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has warned us on general notes of anything that is going to be harmful to your health and harmful to your life and harmful to others. Drug trafficking is absolutely haram in Islam because it is a process whereby you yourself is damaging yourself. Now, Allah in the Quran says, وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ. Never you in any way involved in killing your own self. Don't implicate yourself. Don't be among those who are causing any harm to any part of your body. That's why Islam has condemned it.
They also suggest ways that government can check the menace of drug trafficking during the Hajj.
The people involved in screening them should be thorough in screening. Then some people have to screen the people that screen people also, because it's an arranged business. How will it be somebody who live in Nigeria with drug and go to Saudi Arabia and people will not detect it here? It's only in Saudi Arabia. So it's just like say some people arrange it here, at the end of the day they will go and embarrass the country over there. So whatever the case may be, whoever is screening people, the people that are screening people, some people also screen them also. I think that will help.
Beef up the security in the airports and other places that has to do with Hajj issue, because yes, they have to involve more security on it, because even you see nowadays some security agencies are also involved. Some of them do compromise.
For the pilgrims, they are advised to always be conscious of the kind of people they deal with while on the Hajj journey.
They should adhere to the tenets of Islam. They should not collect anything from a stranger that they don't know. Even those they know, they should not collect something from anybody and keep. Everybody should be cautious of his luggage. They must not keep their luggage and walk somewhere else. Anywhere they are going, their bag should be under lock and key, so that people who are criminals will not use vulnerable people to put in some drugs and then put them in trouble.
The message here is for people not allow anybody to entrust anything to them, open or hidden in a bag or in any manner. Everybody should be responsible for himself and his own properties and should not leave their bags unattended at all times.
The ritual of Rami al-Jamra al-Akbar, which entails throwing stones at 3 different pillars. They signify the 3 locations at which Prophet Ibrahim refused to be tempted by the devil. These 3 pillars are Al-Jamrat al-Ula, first column, Al-Jamrat al-Wusta, second column, and Al-Jamrat al-Akbar, symbolizing Shaitan. Each pillar must be hit at least 7 times with the stones picked up at Muzdalifah. These stones should be pure, meaning they have not been used at Al-Jamra even by the pilgrim himself. The sequence of Jamrat should be observed on the 11th and 12th of Zulhajj, when the ritual of stoning the 3 Jamrats is mandatory. On the 10th day, which is the day of Eid, only Rami al-Jamra al-Akbar is performed. Pilgrims are advised to consult their local imams or guides on the details relating to the number of days for the stone throwing and the pebbles required for the outings. The things to note before and during the ritual are: pilgrims are expected to have intention of stoning the Jamra in line with Allah's injunctions. Pebbles should be hurled one by one, and throwing 2 pebbles together is considered as throwing only 1. Pebbles should strike Jamra, and if there is a doubt, it should be performed again. And then, the time to perform the stone throwing is from sunrise to sunset. This ritual became tradition since Shaitan appeared to Prophet Ibrahim in the site of Al-Jamrat, trying to persuade him to disobey Allah's command, and Ibrahim threw stones at him.
محمد